Hello, my name is Dean Thomas. I'm the founder of eReal Estate Corporation, Value Mortgage, and South Bay Development. I'm going to be doing a series of 12 short 10 to 15 minute videos that share with the realtors that work at our company and agents that are thinking about joining our company how to do successful, high productive real estate business in every market. I've been in the real estate business for over 40 years, started in the mid-70s, and we've completed somewhere between, on average, 30 to 50 transactions a year, every year for the last 35 years. I've been trained by some of the top trainers in the country. I've been trained by Tony Robbins, Mike Ferry. When I was younger, there was a gentleman named Tom Hopkins. These were all top producing real estate agents. And I've worked around some of the highest producing agents in the nation. And I'm going to just share again some of the things that I've learned over the years. And hopefully what I'm going to be sharing is if you're in the real estate business and you're on average doing 2 or 3 or 5 transactions a year, and your goal is to do 15, 20, 25, 30, 40 transactions a year, then I'm going to suggest you watch these series of videos, and it'll show you how to multiply your business on multiple levels. Okay, so having success in every market. Today the interest rates are in the 2s. If you're doing investment capital, you're going to be paying 3.5%, 4%. You should be familiar with the cost of money, because knowing where the financing is the key to doing multiple real estate transactions. How many people have you heard say, if I had $1 million, I would do this? Or if I had $500,000, I would do this? So if you're a realtor, it's up to you to make sure that you know where that $1 million is, where that $500,000 is, where that $2 million is. Obviously, we can go to the bank and you can get your normal conventional financing, which takes a full range of pre-approval process, can't close for 60 days, so on and so forth. If you know where investment capital is, where people can purchase real estate and close escrow in 10 days, then this is going to help assure that you do multiple levels of business. Now, when we talk about the interest rates, I mentioned that they were 2.5% to 4%, depending on the type of financing you were, or if it was investment capital or residential capital. When I got into the business in 1979, the interest rates were 11%. And then over my next 5 years in the business, they went from 11 to 14. And then they jumped up to 18. And it was crazy. It was 1984, 1985, 1986. In 1986, they started coming back down, thankfully, and they came down to about 9.5%. So my first 7 years in the real estate business, the rates were always above 11. So we have to appreciate the interest rates and the cost of money in today's market, and recognize that if you're in this business and you plan on this being your career for the next 20, 30 years, it matters what the interest rate is, but it doesn't matter. So what do I mean by that? Well, in the last 10 years, I've seen record amounts of real estate transactions within our company. That's because we own a mortgage company. All of our agents are dialed in to the cost of money, how they can do investment properties, how they can assist their clients do more investment properties and acquire residential properties, both at the same time. So if you look at the cost of money today being 2.5% versus 11% in 1979, I can tell you in the 80s they were 14, 15%. In the 90s they were 7, 8%. In the early 2000s they were 7, 8%. Around 2010 they came down to 6%, and this created a market, an influx in the marketplace. And since then, they have just stayed down here at this low number, which has been very attractive for a lot of people to buy a lot of real estate. Now, when the rates go back up, people are going to still be buying real estate. They'll be utilizing installment sales. They'll be utilizing land contracts. They'll be utilizing all-inclusive trust deeds or lease options. The market never stops. The real estate market never stops. You just have to be in tune into where is the financing and how am I going to structure the real estate transaction. All right. So I've been trained by Tony Robbins, Mike Ferry, Tom Hopkins. All of them brought some very informative advice in my career. I've also gone through internet training. Technology's always amazed me, and at eReal Estate Corporation, we certainly utilize and capitalize on technology for our agents. So let's talk about some of the things that I've learned from the top trainers. In other videos that we do, we'll go into installment sales or all-inclusive trust deeds or analyzing flips, what our clients expect, so on and so forth. But I think what I'd like to do at the very beginning is talk about what 3 of the top trainers have taught me over the years, personally, when I was working with them. So one of them is Tony Robbins. A lot of you have heard of Tony Robbins. I spent 3 days with his class, or it was a very small formal group. It was very interesting, actually. But he talked about peak performance. And he talked about how you don't have to be at your very best 24 hours a day. You have to be at your very best when you're giving presentation, when you're meeting client, when you're doing business. Be your best, don't be any less. Otherwise, if you're at the beach, go have fun. If you're riding your motorcycle playing golf, great, go do it. But when you're doing your business, it's peak performance all the time, nothing less. So that was very informative. I saw Tony Robbins back in the 80s. So I recognize now that when I'm going to meet a client or when I'm talking real estate with somebody, most people that know me know that I have facts and data. Facts and data. More information, more information, more information. Whether it's a 50-unit apartment building, or whether it's a single-family home, or whether it's a condominium, whatever it is, more information helps close business. So whenever I'm meeting with my clients, they are always surprised how much facts and data that I bring to the table. Well, I call that peak performance. I call that being informative. I call it being executive. And it's helped me build a solid client base over the last 40 years. I've got clients that I've sold 10, 20, 30 properties to. It's quite an amazing way to build your business. So think about peak performance. Whenever you're speaking with somebody, look your best, do your best, be your best. There's the tip that I got from Tony Robbins. It cost me $1,500 back in 1987, right around there. So I went to another trainer. His name was Mike Ferry. That was a game changer for me. Compliments to you, Mike. Game changer. 1986, 1985, 1986, and 1987. I was in my mid-20s, and I was unable to make over $100,000 a year. Or I hadn't hit that mark yet. Let's say that. It's not that I was unable to do it. Maybe I needed to do things a little bit better, a little bit more structured. So Mike Ferry had a seminar designed for agents that wanted to make over $100,000 a year. And that was another $1,500 cost to go to it, but I really, really wanted to figure out how to get in that $100,000 group. That was considered being one of the top 1% wage earners in the country. When I was 26 years old, that sounded like a good idea to me, so I was really working hard to get to that. So when I went to Mike Ferry's seminar, again, it was a game changer. And the interesting thing about Mike is he said, control your business. Don't let your business control you. Because the real estate business will control you if you let it. So as he's about, and this is the way he's starting the thing off. And then he says that every company needs to have office hours. And what was interesting is when he started talking about office hours, he then said the owner of every company, meaning us as realtors, need to take a vacation every year. So he said, before we start getting into this schedule and planning and all this kind of stuff, marketing budget, he goes, the first thing I want you to do is plan your vacation. Now that got my attention because we're 15 minutes into the seminar and Mike's talking about vacation. So I'm just going to say he got my attention. And he said, plan 2 one-week vacations. And he actually said a little joke. He said, if you could afford to spend $1,500 to see me today, you can afford to plan a 1 week vacation or 2 1 week vacations. So I walked out of there saying, okay, I've never heard of that before, but all right. So this was 3 days with Mike, and the next, after we talked about vacation, he said, okay, now your vacation's set up. How was your vacation? And he smiled a little bit. And then he goes, now let's talk about office hours. And he said, every successful company has office hours. Top 500 companies, you know when they're open, you know when they're closed. Disneyland, you know when they're open, you know when they're closed. The local restaurants, you know when they're open, you know when they're closed. Realtors need to have the same principle. So there we are, at 27 years old. I'm trying to figure out how to make $100,000 a year. And I had to ask myself, what are my office hours? Because I had to be honest with myself, and I really didn't have a precise schedule. I just got to the office when I got to the office, and I left when I left, and I did what I did in between to sell real estate. So now what I just said there was a lot, but that's not the keys for success. That's not the keys for a long career. To get there when you get there, and to not know precisely what you're doing during the day, and to not even know what your office hours are. So I had no office hours. So what I decided was I was going to set some office hours. And it was 7 in the morning until 5 in the afternoon, unless I was showing property. And if I was showing property, I would show property after 5. But if I wasn't showing property, I was done at 5 o'clock, 7 to 5. Now, I also worked on weekends too, Saturday and Sunday, right? And I picked one day off a week. But I worked most Saturdays and Sundays, I'm going to say, for my first 20 years, right? Not to say I did it right or did it wrong, but I know I sold 30 to 50 homes a year, right? Or properties a year. I should say properties a year is actually what it was. So I got office hours. And again, they were 7 to 5. And then after we got the first point down, get your vacations down. Second point is get your office hours down. The third point is, now that you know what your office hours are, what are you going to do all day? Fair enough. So for me, I decided my schedule was going to be 7 to 5. Now, he said you need to precisely know what you're going to do between 7 and 5. And that's called a schedule. And most of us realtors don't like the word schedule. But schedule is not a bad word. I don't have to write down every minute of my schedule. I don't have to write down every minute of my day. I can, but I don't have to. But I do have to have a schedule. I have to know what I'm doing between 7 and 9, between 9 and 11, between 11 and 1, between 1 and 3, and between 3 and 5. That's fair enough. 2-hour segments. So basically, he said, get a schedule. He broke it down into 2-hour segments. And then he said, do different things during those 2-hour segments so you don't get bored. Right? So for me, as an example, I would spend 2 hours. Well, it was actually pretty cool. I'd spend my first 2 hours in the morning and I'd go run and put flyers on doors. I'd get my exercise in the morning. So between 7 and 9, I was usually putting flyers on property owners' doors, tenants' doors. Do you want to sell? Do you want to buy? So on and so forth. Just looking for new business the first 2 hours. Then I'd get to the office and I would look on the MLS and look at all the new inventory, see if there was any good investments out there. So basically, I set my schedules out in increments of 2 hours. And for the agents at our company, I have like 3 different full schedules completed. And none of them are the same. And I recognize that some people don't like to cold call. Some people don't like to knock on doors. Some people don't like to send emails. Some people don't like to do anything. Some people like to do a lot. And the people that like to do a lot catches my attention. We have this thing called espresso and coffee, right? If you want to go, it's like, espresso and real estate, excuse me. You know what? It's like real estate can be really a really fun business. It's just you have to know how to run it. You have to know how your schedule is. You have to know your office hours, and certainly take your vacations. So the next part of it is, okay, so now I've got my schedule down. And this is where I never had a marketing budget. I had been in real estate since 1979. And I'm in this seminar in 1987. So this is 8 years in real estate. Now this is all new to me, right? Now it may not sound like it's any big deal, but it was a big deal to me because I didn't implement any of this stuff. So then what Mike talked about was marketing budget. And he said, everybody needs to have a marketing budget. Now, I didn't have a marketing budget, but what I knew for certain was all the agents that worked around me that were top producers. I mean, top producers, like 20, 30, 40, 50 homes a year, properties a year. They all had local ads. Now, today it's internet. Today it's a whole different type of advertising than it was when I was got in the business, because there was no computers when I got in the business. It's E-Real Estate Corporation. We take advantage of technology. But there was no computers when I got in the business. So Mike asked the group, what is your marketing budget per year? And then he went on to state that every top 5 Fortune 500 company has a marketing budget. Further, he said Coca-Cola and Pepsi-Cola spend 33% of their revenue on marketing. Now, Coca-Cola and Pepsi-Cola, I think we have to agree that they have name recognition, and we have to agree that they sell a lot of product. So I don't know about the 33% I was saying, because I didn't have that kind of money back then, but I had to acknowledge to myself that they both had marketing budgets. Everybody knew who Coca-Cola and Pepsi was, and a lot of people drank it. And some people fought over it. Which one was better? So in this, I had no marketing budget. And he put out there that at a minimum, spend 10% of what you want to make. So I'm there to make 100 grand. I want to make 100,000 next year. And I go, okay, that means $10,000. So I knew as plain as day, if I said I was going to spend $10,000 marketing myself, I would stop after 2 or 3 months. But I knew he was right. So far, everything he said was making sense to me. So what I did is I went down to the local newspaper, which in our town it was the Beach Reporter. That's where all the top agents advertised. And I purchased 6 months of advertising. And I paid for it in advance. That way I negotiated my best price and I was committed to it. Strangely enough, I started looking forward to putting my advertisements together. Before it was pain because I was going to go pay for it. But now it was paid for. So I was looking forward to putting together the best marketing campaign to bring me buyers and sellers and stuff. So interestingly enough, before I go on, when I went to this seminar, 1985, I did like 70,000 in commissions. 1986, I did like 78,000. And 1987, I did like 94,000. And then in 1988, after following these suggestions, I did 178. And then it was never looking back. Everything was just more and more and more and higher volume and just be more on peak performance, if you will. So we got a marketing budget, and I decided I was going to spend 10,000 that year. And the result was I spent 10 grand and I made 179. So from that year forward, I've always had a marketing budget of 10% of what I want to make, right? So that's interesting. So for me, I don't want to make less than 500 grand a year. I don't want to spend more than 50,000 a year advertising. So if I make $1 million this year, or $1.3 million this year, I spent 50 grand advertising, because that's where I cap it for me. Now, agents that come to our company, I tell them I don't care if it's $10 a day, if it's $5 a day, or $40 a day. If you have no marketing budget, then you're not setting yourself up to succeed. So whatever the marketing budget is comfortable for you, pick it. Now, quite simply, I mean, I've told a few agents that a cup of Starbucks is $5. So, that's if you dropped a drink or whatever it is, if you dropped one a day, that's $5 a day, that's $150 a month. So if I spent 50 grand a year, for me, but I'm happy to do it because it pays off. So marketing budget is a must. And one thing for sure is that our company, we have strategies here that are amazing, that bring the most efficiency to your marketing dollar and bring the highest results. In fact, one of our agents put together a marketing campaign using our neighborhood relocation program. They had 22 sellers, not buyers. They had 22 seller leads come into them from our neighborhood relocation program that they follow up on all the time. So if you create the right marketing plan and budget, bound to succeed. Now the next thing is he was talking about getting an assistant. Now sometimes for some people getting an assistant doesn't work. I get it. That's why at our company we provide a lot of assistance, right? We don't want our agents spending their time messing around with technology, even though we offer the best technology. We don't want to spend our agents spending their time creating farms, because we create the digital farms for them, right? As an example, Rolling Hills Country Club here in the area. We have RollingHillsGolfCourseHomes.com. One of our agents built a farm around that. They send information to all the property owners digitally, by email, maybe something hard copy once a quarter. But there's ways to create marketing that's efficient, that works. And everybody knows farming works, right? Now old school is people would farm and they'd go knock on doors. They still do it. Drop flyers off at the door once a month. They do it. I've never been into that. I've been more into the digital farm since we've been able to do things digitally. I like to upload property owners in certain zip codes and communicate with the property owners in those zip codes, whether it be digitally, by Facebook, by Instagram, by mail, whatever. I like to create my own farms and my own zip codes and use the digital systems. There's a much better return and it's much more efficient. So if you're able to get an assistant at sometime on your own, you'll find yourself only doing more business. And then a very interesting topic that Mike Ferry said, and I'm going to end it with this, is Mike said, learn how to say no to people. Now, that was shocking. That was the last topic that he actually talked about. And to me, it's like saying no to people. I was like, up until I heard that, in the real estate business for my first 8 years, I would want to say yes all the time. Can you show me this property? Yes. Can you do this? Yes. Can you do this? Yes. Everything was yes. And then when I heard Mike say, learn how to say no, what I started to recognize was people that would waste my time. I would be able to identify if it was a waste of my time before I even step into the situation and learn how to say no. Or if I meet with somebody and it's not going to work for me, or I think it's just say no, thank you gracefully. And when you walk away from situations, you give yourself time to walk into better situations. So learning how to say no is a critical point. It's a very negative word. No is negative. No one likes to be told no. But to be successful in the real estate business, people will run you in circles. If you're watching this video and you have some experience in the real estate business, I'm sure you've been ran in circles a little bit. And I used to be run in circles a little bit until I learned how to say no. And now what's interesting is it's probably one of the most powerful words in my vocabulary because it frees me up, right? It's like it frees you up before you even get in, right? So this series 1 of our Success in Every Market video, this is hopefully going to be the basis for you to set out your next year or years beyond and run your real estate business like a business. There's no reason for any agent not to do 25 to 50 transactions a year. You just need to be focused on the right things, spend your time in the right areas, schedule properly, vacation good, have a good time. Real estate's really a fun business to be in. And lastly, I'm going to leave it like this. Our next series is going to be more in a financial, talk about finances, talk about where to get funds for your clients to close out more escrows. Every homeowner wants to invest in real estate. Maybe I should backtrack. I'm going to say 90% of homeowners want to invest in real estate. They see they've made wealth in real estate. They know they have friends that invest in real estate. So if we, or I, or you can provide them, the everyday homeowner, an avenue and a vehicle to invest in real estate with finances available, show them how to buy a property, show them how to flip a property, show them how to make $50,000 or $100,000 on a transaction. You'll make a commission when you sell them the property and when you sell it for them. They may make $100,000 while you're helping them do this. It's a win-win. So we're going to get more into the depths of high production real estate, success in every market. People buy real estate every year, every decade for the last 100 years. Real estate goes up in value. It's a good investment. I appreciate you listening. My direct line is 310-874-1010. My email is dean@erealestatecorp.com. And I look forward to meeting with you soon. Have a good day.